So what I'm going to do here today is show you my idea on how to lock the rear differential on my L979. So I took some little pieces of my zip tie, put it in there. Went and picked me up some new zip ties, some yellow zip ties, nice and bright. Hoping that when I lose my body clips, I'd be able to find it a lot easier than trying to chase down a green one. Don't know if you can see that because of my glove. Anyway, so I have these green zip ties on my truck. So I'm switching them out to yellow. So I took just a scrap piece that I cut. I put some grease in there because it didn't have no grease. So I had to take this apart because there's something clicking. I thought I stripped the gear. This gear actually looks pretty good, so I threw some grease on it. Luckily I only have one gear left, which I gotta put on the I gotta put in my buggy downstairs, I believe. So then I took this apart. When I was taking it apart, I realized that there's no grease in there. So I put some grease in there, and then I decided that I was gonna lock out the rear diff and try that. I wanted to show you that. To show you what I was working on there for a long time. Now for some reason I took the ESC apart, decided to try to waterproof that a little bit, or water resist it anyways. And when I plugged in the servo, everything went haywire, it's not working correctly. But so I have the red lights up front because he wanted the red lights up front. I ended up putting blue lights in the back, and I put a resistor on both of them. Too much wattage away from the red lights, and I actually had to have a resistor on the red lights just because it seems like the power going in can only go to about 2.8, I'm guessing, because the 3.7 it pops right away. Kind of sucks. Anywho, so I got mounted an on and off switch here. I have a battery. Why don't I just show you? How about that? There's a little 1S battery that I picked up from hobbyking.com when they had them on sale for really cheap. I think I got it for like $2. So I bought 4 of them to make it worth the $7-8 I had to pay for freaking shipping. Anyways, so unlike mine, when you turn on this main switch, the lights come on. Now you don't have to worry about it until you flip the switch back here, which I mounted in between the 2 brackets. And when I'm on this one, I can't do that because this is the bracket. It's actually being used for the suspension, for this part, for the shock towers. There we go. Oh, so here's the hobby grade shocks that I got from my donation from Matthew. This is the aluminum rear body shocks. Has some really thick oil that works real nice. And this looks like those just came from like a Red Cat Lightning drift car or something, or maybe a buggy, I'm not sure. But I ended up having to put the springs from the original shocks on this one, because the black springs are just a little bit too big, and as you can see there's barely enough space just to accommodate for that. But it works out really good. It's really nice so far. We tested it out yesterday for the first time. Seems to handle a little bit better. It definitely doesn't roll over as much from going around, spinning anyways. So when we went yesterday, there's a lot of fine sand and stuff. So here, let me turn this on. I'm getting carried away. I'm trying to hurry up so I can finish. So I have a red light, so I don't know what happened to that one. I'm gonna have to take everything back apart again. I gotta replace the ESC now too. So I have the switch there, which is easy to get to, and then I have these. Yeah, see? Real easy to get to, nice. Then I have these, which they look pretty cool. If you get it at the right angle, you see that they are pretty bright. And I don't know why that one's tucked in so much. No, I gotta check that out too. So that's my idea for locking the rear diff. So just take some plastic you know, scrap plastic zip ties. Let's see if I can get it in there. I know I'm real bad about showing you guys. This camera sucks because it never focuses. But anyways, there's zip ties in there. So you just line it up, put the screws back in. Probably gonna have to throw some more grease on this because I've been touching it like crazy. So you tighten them up real good. And it's not like I really play with this in water, even though my son did find a water puddle and was playing in it a little bit. So nothing to get screwed up, which is kind of nice. Had a lot more mud on there than that. I cleaned it up a little bit. But anywho, so what I do too, just to help try to keep out the dirt and water if so happens to try to get in, I make sure I put a nice coating of grease inside there where the wheel bearing it goes, and then I do the edges just to help seal it up, because when I open this, there's nothing but a little bit of grease right here and it was all covered in sand. I mean, that's pretty much perfect. There's actually nothing on this. It's actually still the same. See, there's still a little bit of their white grease. So, as you can see there, I lubricated that side up pretty good. I actually stuck it in there and put it together, and then realized that I forgot to put one of the screws in. So then I had to take it all back apart. So, now I didn't see no grease squeeze back out right there, so I'm gonna take it back out, put just a dab bit more in, because I don't feel like taking this thing apart. Even though it's not hard, I can change out of gear in like 5 minutes. Pretty much 5 minutes flat. But if it wasn't for Budget Guy already taking the name of Budget Guy RC, I would have loved to have that name, because talk about a budget, I'm on a very short budget. And that's why I'm so glad that Matthew has been so generous to me, giving me some spare parts, some leftover parts from what he's done with some of his projects. So I've used these enough. I used these probably 3 times already. So again, it's not like the gloves are expensive, but I'm going to keep using everything as much as possible. I believe in recycling. Before, I didn't really care about it until I moved to New York, and then realized how actually important it is to recycle. So now I try to recycle everything and anything that I possibly can. Yes, I have Volkswagens. I don't know if you guys can even see over there. Yeah, I guess you can. I own 2 Volkswagen, two Jettas. I've owned a total of 7 Jettas altogether. I think. No, wait a minute. 296 Jettas, '07 Jetta, 5 Jettas, and now I have a 2011 Jetta. That's my wife's, and I have a 2013 hybrid. So yeah, love VWs. Oh, speaking of VWs, Matthew's also sending me a VW shell from his Volcano. Oh, what I was going to do is wipe this down. Also try to get all the grease off from the outside. Because I live on a gravel road and usually play in the dirt and the rocks. So all that stuff just comes right onto this and stays, and I don't like that. Because you never know. Oh, I didn't show you guys. I had to resolder both of these wires back on because they put a big glob of solder here and just stuck the wire in it. They didn't put the solder actually in the wire and heated up the wire and do it the proper way. which was one reason I think why this motor was so hot. It's actually not running as hot no more, but it's still getting really hot, and so is the ESC. So I know I keep talking about it, I keep mentioning it, but I never actually showed this part. If you see here, I've already got it marked out to where I have, because I have one little fan, ESC fan, that came off of my brushless motor. Actually, here, let me show you real fast. I actually had to repair this. I'm surprised I actually got it working again. But anyways, this ESC is the same one. I mean, I thought I threw this in the trash. So this is my first ESC, and I took it apart, and of course the weld's not on this side, but there's two small little bitty welds that came loose, which was one of the problems I was having with this thing. I got all the stickers. I put a little bit of, just a tad bit of super glue. It looks real nice. You can't even tell I took it apart. Oh, I guess you can right there. Anywho, but this is a little fan. I have an extra one of these actually, and that's what I was thinking about putting there, was mounting to blow straight onto the ESC, because when the truck is like this, the ESC sits on this side, or the fins. The heat sinks fins on the ESC sit on this side, which is why I cut the big hole. Well, I had a little hole thinking that just a little bit of air movement in there would help. So still got super hot, so I cut the biggest hole that I could possibly cut without doing anything to the structure of the canopy, which I don't think it really affected it too much. I was thinking about cutting this, but I think it would be way too much, and then as soon as it lands on the top, it would break. So, and that's why I'm thinking about going ahead and putting in that little fan there. Put in the little fan there, blowing on the ESC. I also, did I order? No. Oh, I think I just saved up enough money to where I'm going to try to get me a heat sink. I was actually wanting to get one with a fan on it, just to help make sure that it stays cooler, because it's also making my battery get hot, which they started to puff. Oh, my batteries were getting so hot inside that and inside the buggy that when I was here playing outside, that I took them out and they was hot. I threw them in the freezer for about 10-15 minutes, and it actually took the puffiness away. So if any of you guys have slightly swollen or puffed lipos after running it and it's hot, throw it into the freezer. I don't know if it works for the big ones, but for my little ones it seemed to work. And my little 3-cell lipo, no, little 1-cell like this one, I ran in my little sumo truck and it's puffed up. That's the only one that's puffed up yet. I only used 2 of them, but it's slightly puffed. And so I'm gonna run this, get it hot again. I'm gonna throw it in the freezer, and just to make sure, to see if it actually works. But I mean, it did for my 2-cell 7.2 volt 1500 lipos that come with the buggies and the truck. There's 2 of them that was puffed, that was puffy, like this, that was puffy, not completely puff, but that are puffy. So they seem to work. I don't know, could be just a fluke. I'm not saying, hey, you know, guarantee to work. Just saying, hey, you know, it worked for me, maybe it might work for you. So anyways, I'm going to put this stuff back together. I don't think you guys really care about that. So thanks for tuning back in. Ow, smack my head on the freaking ceiling. I hate that shit.